Greetings, fellow truth-seekers and global citizens. Today, we embark on an exploration of a topic that holds immense sway over the global economy, geopolitical landscape, and even the delicate balance of international security, Iran's oil supply and its far-reaching effects on the world. Oil, the black gold that has fueled modern civilization's insatiable thirst for energy, is not merely a commodity. It is a strategic resource that wields immense power. As one of the world's largest oil producers and holders of some of the biggest proven reserves, Iran's role in the global oil market is pivotal, yet fraught with complexities and tensions. For decades, political upheavals, economic sanctions, and the ever-present specter of potential conflicts have cast a long shadow over Iran's oil exports, causing ripple effects that transcend borders, industries, and even ideologies. In this comprehensive analysis, we'll delve into the intricacies of Iran's oil industry, its impact on global oil prices, and the broader economic, political, and security ramifications that reverberate across the globe. Brace yourselves, for this is a journey that will take us through the intricate web of energy, geopolitics, and the ever-present threat of armed conflict, a journey that will challenge our perceptions and shed light on the high-stakes game of power, resources, and survival that shapes our world. Iran's oil industry, a turbulent history intertwined with geopolitics. To truly grasp the present complexities surrounding Iran's oil supply, we must first explore the tumultuous history that has shaped this industry. The country's oil wealth dates back to the early 20th century, when the first oil fields were discovered in the southwestern region, igniting a chain of events that would forever alter Iran's trajectory. Over the decades, this resource has played a pivotal role in shaping Iran's economy, geopolitical influence, and its often strained relations with the West. The Iranian Revolution of 1979, which toppled the pro-Western monarchy, marked a seismic shift in the region's power dynamics. The subsequent Iran-Iraq War in the 1980s further disrupted oil production and exports, plunging the region into a period of instability and economic turmoil. However, the challenges facing Iran's oil industry extended far beyond the battlefield. The imposition of international sanctions due to concerns over Iran's nuclear program and human rights record has cast a long shadow over the country's ability to fully capitalize on its vast oil reserves. Despite these obstacles, Iran has managed to maintain a significant presence in the global oil market thanks to its strategic location in the Persian Gulf region, a critical chokepoint for global oil supplies, and its unwavering determination to assert its sovereignty and influence. Iran's oil reserves and production capacity, a sleeping giant. Iran boasts some of the largest proven oil reserves in the world, estimated at around 157 billion barrels, according to the BP Statistical Review of World Energy 2022. This staggering figure places Iran among the top 5 countries with the largest oil reserves, alongside Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, Canada, and Iraq. However, the true potential of Iran's oil wealth remains largely untapped. Aging infrastructure, lack of investment, and the crippling effects of sanctions have hampered the country's ability to maximize its production capacity. In recent years, Iran's oil production has hovered around 2.5 million barrels per day, a mere fraction of its peak production levels in the 1970s. This discrepancy between Iran's vast reserves and its current output has led many analysts to speculate about the potential for a resurgence in Iranian oil production, should the political and economic barriers be lifted. Some envision a scenario where Iran could become a major player in the global oil market, rivaling the dominance of traditional powerhouses like Saudi Arabia and Russia. The impact of sanctions and geopolitical tensions, a double-edged sword. One of the most significant factors influencing Iran's oil supply to the world has been the imposition of economic sanctions by the United States, the European Union, and other nations. These sanctions have targeted various aspects of Iran's economy, including its oil industry, banking sector, and access to international financial systems. The sanctions have made it increasingly difficult for Iran to export its oil, as many countries and companies have been reluctant to engage in business with Iran due to the risk of facing penalties or being cut off from the global financial system. As a result, Iran's oil exports have fluctuated significantly over the years, with periods of relative stability followed by sharp declines. However, sanctions are not the only factor influencing Iran's oil supply. Geopolitical tensions and the ever-present threat of armed conflict have also played a significant role. The long-standing hostilities between Iran and its regional rivals, such as Saudi Arabia and Israel, have contributed to an environment of instability and uncertainty, deterring foreign investment and hampering Iran's ability to maximize its oil production and export potential. Ironically, these very sanctions and tensions have also served as a double-edged sword for Iran. While they have undoubtedly hindered the country's economic growth and development, they have also fostered a sense of defiance and self-reliance within the Iranian regime. The narrative of resistance against external pressures has become a rallying cry, galvanizing domestic support and reinforcing the government's grip on power. The threat of war and nuclear proliferation, a ticking time bomb. The possibility of armed conflict in the region poses a grave threat to Iran's oil industry and global energy supplies. Any military confrontation involving Iran could potentially disrupt oil production, damage critical infrastructure, and impede the flow of oil through the Strait of Hormuz, a strategic choke point through which a significant portion of the world's oil passes. Moreover, the ongoing tensions surrounding Iran's nuclear program have added another layer of complexity to the situation, one that carries the weight of existential consequences. While Iran maintains that its nuclear activities are solely for peaceful purposes, many Western nations and regional rivals remain skeptical, fearing that Iran may be pursuing nuclear weapons capabilities. The potential for a nuclear-armed Iran has raised concerns about the possibility of a preemptive strike by adversaries, such as Israel or the United States, to neutralize Iran's nuclear facilities. Such a scenario could trigger a wider regional conflict, with devastating consequences for the oil industry, global energy supplies, and the already fragile stability of the Middle East. In this high-stakes game of nuclear brinkmanship, the specter of mutually assured destruction looms large, casting a pall of uncertainty over the region's future and the fate of its vast energy resources. The impact on global oil prices and economic stability, a delicate balance. Iran's oil supply, or lack thereof, has had a profound impact on global oil prices and economic stability, a reality that underscores the interconnectedness of our modern world. As a major producer and exporter, any disruption or reduction in Iran's oil output can create supply shortages and drive up prices worldwide. When Iran's oil exports have been curtailed due to sanctions or other factors, it has contributed to tighter global oil supplies, putting upward pressure on prices. Conversely, when sanctions have been eased or lifted, allowing Iran to increase its exports, it has helped alleviate supply constraints and stabilize prices. However, it's important to note that oil prices are influenced by a complex interplay of various factors, including global demand, production levels of other major producers, geopolitical tensions, and speculative trading activities. Iran's oil supply is just one piece of the puzzle, albeit a significant one. The volatility in oil prices caused by fluctuations in Iran's oil supply can have far-reaching economic consequences. Higher oil prices can lead to increased inflation, higher transportation costs, and reduced consumer spending, potentially slowing economic growth and contributing to recessions. Conversely, lower oil prices can provide a boost to consumer spending and economic activity, but may also negatively impact oil-producing nations and industries, leading to job losses and economic hardship. This delicate balance between supply, demand, and geopolitical factors has made the global oil market a highly volatile and unpredictable arena where the ripples of events in one corner of the world can quickly spread and disrupt economies on the other side of the globe. Geopolitical power dynamics and regional instability, a vicious cycle. Iran's oil wealth has been a source of both power and contention, shaping the geopolitical dynamics of the Middle East and beyond. The country's ability to leverage its oil resources has given it significant influence in the region, enabling it to project power and support various militant groups and proxies. At the same time, tensions over Iran's nuclear program and its support for these groups have strained its relationships with the West and regional rivals, contributing to ongoing conflicts and instability. The proxy wars and power struggles between Iran and its adversaries, such as Saudi Arabia and Israel, have fueled sectarian violence, humanitarian crises, and the proliferation of extremist groups. This vicious cycle of conflict, instability, and resource competition has created a self-perpetuating loop where each side seeks to gain leverage and assert dominance, often at the expense of regional stability and the well-being of civilian populations. Furthermore, the sanctions imposed on Iran have had far-reaching consequences, not only for Iran itself, but also for the global financial system and international trade. Companies and countries that have continued to do business with Iran have faced the risk of secondary sanctions, complicating their operations and access to global markets. Potential future scenarios and implications, a Pandora's box of possibilities. Looking ahead, the future of Iran's oil supply and its impact on the world remains uncertain and subject to various factors, each with its own set of implications and potential consequences. Nuclear deal negotiations. The ongoing negotiations between Iran and world powers over reviving the 2015 nuclear deal could potentially lead to the lifting of sanctions, allowing Iran to increase its oil exports and alleviate some of the supply constraints. However, a failure to reach an agreement could further escalate tensions and increase the risk of military confrontation, potentially plunging the region into chaos and disrupting global energy supplies. Domestic political developments. Iran's internal political dynamics, including the potential for regime change or shifts in leadership, could influence the country's approach to its oil industry, nuclear program, and relations with the international community. A more moderate government might seek to mend ties and attract foreign investment, while a hardline regime could double down on confrontation and isolation. Regional tensions and armed conflicts. Escalating tensions or outright conflicts in the Middle East region, particularly involving Iran and its rivals, could disrupt oil production, damage critical infrastructure, and impede the flow of oil through strategic choke points, leading to supply disruptions and price volatility. Such conflicts could also destabilize the region further, creating fertile ground for the rise of extremist groups and prolonged humanitarian crises. Global energy transition. As the world moves towards a transition to cleaner energy sources, the long-term demand for oil may be impacted, potentially affecting the significance of Iran's oil reserves and exports. However, this transition is likely to be gradual, and oil will remain a crucial energy source for the foreseeable future, particularly in developing economies. Investment and infrastructure. Iran's ability to attract foreign investment and modernize its aging oil infrastructure could play a crucial role in determining its future production capacity and export potential. However, ongoing sanctions, geopolitical tensions, and the perceived risk of instability may continue to deter investment, leaving Iran's oil industry in a state of stagnation. Military intervention and nuclear proliferation. The possibility of a military intervention by adversaries to neutralize Iran's nuclear facilities or preemptively strike its oil infrastructure cannot be ruled out. Such a scenario could trigger a wider regional conflict, with devastating consequences for the oil industry, global energy supplies, international security, and the already fragile stability of the Middle East. Each of these scenarios carries its own set of implications, ranging from economic upheaval and energy crises to outright war and the specter of nuclear conflict. It is a Pandora's box of possibilities, where the decisions and actions of nations and leaders could unleash forces that reverberate across the globe, shaping the course of history and the fate of generations to come. Conclusion: a call for wisdom and foresight. In conclusion, Iran's oil supply has had a profound and multifaceted impact on the world, transcending the realms of energy markets and economics. From influencing global oil prices and economic stability to shaping geopolitical power dynamics, fueling regional tensions, and raising the specter of armed conflicts and nuclear proliferation, Iran's oil wealth has been both a blessing and a curse. As we stand at this crossroads, where the decisions of today will echo through the annals of tomorrow, it is imperative that we approach this issue with wisdom, foresight, and a deep understanding of the intricate web of interconnections that bind our world together. The resolution of the ongoing nuclear negotiations, domestic political developments in Iran, the global energy transition, and the ever-present threat of armed conflict will all play a role in determining the extent of Iran's oil supply and its effects on the world. However, these factors are not isolated. They are inextricably linked, each influencing and shaping the others in a complex dance of cause and effect. It is our collective responsibility as global citizens to demand that our leaders approach this issue with a long-term vision, one that prioritizes stability, diplomacy, and the well-being of all peoples. We must reject the siren call of short-sighted self-interest and instead embrace a path of mutual understanding, cooperation, and a shared commitment to a sustainable and peaceful future. For in the end, the fate of Iran's oil supply is not merely a matter of economics or geopolitics. It is a reflection of our collective humanity, our ability to transcend divisions and work towards a world where resources are not a source of conflict, but a catalyst for progress and prosperity for all. Thank you for joining me on this journey of exploration and understanding. May the insights gained here serve as a beacon, guiding us towards a future where wisdom prevails, and the echoes of conflict give way to the harmonies of cooperation and peace.